Let's talk about something super frustrating, something we've all been through. Why is it that your brain can perfectly remember the lyrics to some ridiculous song you heard once, years ago, but it can't hold on to the name of a person you literally just met? We're going to dig into why our memory isn't the storage vault we think it is and what it's really up to. Okay, has this ever happened to you? You're in a meeting, you get introduced to a new client, you shake their hand, you tell yourself, remember this name, it's important. And then, poof, 10 minutes later, it's just gone. That feeling is maddening, right? Well, that exact mystery is what we're unpacking today.
You know, deep down, most of us have this quiet little belief. It just feels right. It makes sense that if something is valuable or meaningful or just plain important, our brain's going to file it away for safekeeping. But what if that core assumption, the very foundation of how we think about memory, is just wrong?
So let's start by giving this idea a name. We'll call it the importance myth. This is that gut feeling, that intuitive belief that if you want to remember something, if you intend for it to be important, then your brain will cooperate and save it. It's like we think importance is a magical highlighter pen. We figure that just by recognizing something as valuable, we're mentally highlighting it for our brain, telling it, hey, save this. And that's why forgetting stings so much. It doesn't feel like a simple glitch in the system. No, it feels personal. It feels like a failure. We start blaming ourselves, thinking, I guess I wasn't smart enough, or even worse, maybe I just didn't care enough. So, if it's a myth, why is it so powerful? Why are we all so convinced it's true? Let's get into why this flawed idea has such an iron grip on our thinking. Well, it all comes down to what's happening inside our heads in that moment. When something feels important, our attention zooms in, right? When an explanation finally clicks, our mind just relaxes into this wonderful feeling of ease. The struggle is over, and that clarity, that smoothness, it feels exactly like success. So of course, we trust that feeling. And boom, that is the trap. That internal smoothness, that satisfying aha moment, feels precisely like what learning is supposed to feel like. We mistake the immediate sensation of understanding for something much more permanent, for real long-term learning. But as we're about to see, what something feels like and how it actually works are two totally different things. Because this is where the whole story starts to unravel. If we're being honest with ourselves, our daily lives are packed with evidence that completely contradicts this belief about how memory works. I mean, seriously, think about it. You can forget a critical deadline you were just told about 5 minutes ago, but you can somehow recall a completely random, throwaway line from a TV show you saw when you were a kid. If importance was the secret key, that would be impossible. How does that make any sense? This mismatch is the first major crack in the foundation of the myth. So let's put these two ideas head to head. The myth says our memory is a secure vault where we store all our valuables. But the reality? Memory is way more like a ruthless spam filter. Its default setting isn't to save, it's to delete. It throws out almost everything, and it only keeps the tiny fraction of stuff it predicts we're going to need later. And this is such a huge shift in thinking, right? Forgetting isn't a bug. It's not a mistake your brain makes. Forgetting is the main feature. It's the whole point. It has to be. Otherwise, we would be completely buried under an avalanche of useless, trivial information every single day. Okay, so if the brain isn't a museum curator carefully preserving our important memories of the past, then what on earth is its real job? And believe me, the answer changes, well, everything. Here's the deal. Your brain's #1 challenge, its primary goal, is not to be a perfect archive of what happened yesterday. It's to be a prediction machine for what's about to happen next. So memory isn't a scrapbook of the past, it's more like a cheat sheet for the future. So what signals does this future-predicting brain actually pay attention to? Well, it pretty much ignores our feelings about what's important. Instead, it looks for hard evidence in our actions. And it values 4 specific things: effort, retrieval, surprise, and variation. These are the real signals that tell the brain, hey, pay attention, this info is probably going to be useful again. First up is effort. And this one feels so backward. When you have to really struggle and wrestle with an idea to understand it, that struggle itself is the signal. Your brain interprets difficulty as a sign of future importance. So that feeling of strain, that isn't you failing. That's the feeling of a memory actually being built. Okay, next is retrieval. And this one is huge. Every single time you actively pull a memory out of your brain, without looking at your notes, you are proving to your brain that this information is useful and accessible. Think of it like a path in the woods. The more you walk on it, the clearer and easier it gets to follow. Then you've got surprise. When something totally unexpected happens, it's like a big red flag for your brain. It says, whoa, my predictions about the world are wrong. I need to update the files. And finally, there's variation. When you encounter the same idea but in different situations or contexts, your brain goes, okay, this isn't a one-off thing. This is broadly applicable. Better keep it. So what does this all mean for us? Where does this leave us? Well, this is all about reframing our entire relationship with learning and memory. It's about finally understanding the rules so we can work with our brains instead of constantly fighting against them. If you take away just one thing today, let it be this new mental model. Stop thinking of your brain as a passive video camera that's just recording life. Instead, think of it as a ruthless, aggressive film editor. It's constantly cutting, revising, and rewriting a script, all to help you better navigate the future. It doesn't care about the past, and it is not sentimental. And this really gets to the heart of it. Memory is not some prize your brain gives you for paying attention or for wanting something really badly. It's simply the residue. It's the trace left over after your brain has been forced to change, to adapt its internal script to better match reality. And once you really get this new model, it changes how you see everything. Look at this. The old interpretation of difficulty was, oh, I must be bad at this. The new interpretation? My brain is physically changing right now. Forgetting something doesn't mean I didn't care. It means that wasn't useful for predicting the future. And that easy, smooth feeling of getting it? Uh-oh. That might just mean your brain didn't need to change at all, so no learning actually happened. Now look, none of this is a magic wand that suddenly makes learning easy. It won't. But what it does is it makes the process make sense. It makes it intelligible. You can finally understand why you struggle, why you forget, and why that feeling of effort is actually your best friend. It lets you stop blaming yourself and start working with the amazing, if quirky, system you actually have. And that leaves us with a final thought, a question to really chew on. We spend so much time chasing that smooth, easy feeling of clarity because we think that's the goal. But what if real, durable learning isn't supposed to feel good at all? What if the entire point is that difficult, uncomfortable, frustrating process of forcing our minds to adapt? Something to think about.